Welcome back, party people. Today's video is going to be about Endless Corridor, about why it's important and how you can prepare for it. So if you are, for example, leveling up, say maybe you're level 60 and you're getting close to level 70, or even if you're level 70 and you poked around in Endless Corridor and then you got frustrated and stopped playing, this video is going to explain the importance of why you need to persist and push through the difficulty of Endless Corridor, because it is the primary means of improving your team once you get to the end game in Goddess of Genesis. So first of all, in case people don't know, Endless Corridor is a game mode that you access here. I don't know at what level it becomes available. I suspect it's either 60 or 70. And what it is you start out at 1-1, and in the first world there are 50 individual maps that you go through. Every 10 levels you face a major boss, and then once you clear the first world, there's the second world, third world, fourth, fifth. Right now I'm on 538. There are 10 worlds available right now, and in about a month, if we follow the SEA banner, there should be new worlds of Endless Corridor unlocked as well. So once people start finishing the 10th world, there should be more coming on the way. Now each map is an individual battle with different enemies, and you'll need to use different strategies to complete each level. Now the further you progress in Endless Corridor, you see this like chest of magic or gold coins at the bottom. The further you progress in Endless Corridor, when you tap on this thing, these are the rewards that you will get, and the longer that you stay idle, the more rewards you'll accumulate. So if you're really cruising through levels in Endless Corridor and you're passing them pretty efficiently, then I suggest letting your idle earnings build up and then collecting at the end after you've progressed as far as you can progress for that day. So for example, here I've cleared about 30 levels in 3 days, so this should be a pretty good collection when I collect it here. And what you do with those materials that you earn in Endless Corridor, if you tap the magic array here in the lower left, this is the magic array where as you level this thing up, right now I'm level 129, you will gain stats, and these stats like strength, intelligence, physical defense, magic defense, and hit points, all these stats apply to all of your characters that have reached Awakening level 9 or higher, so Awakening level 9 or 10. And now that I've collected all those materials, I can increase this magic array, so I'm going to upgrade it here. I'm upgrading it a couple levels, and as you can see, the hit points, strength, all those team stats are going up. And now I've hit a point where I need 200,000 of those blue materials, the dark blue, and I only have 163,000. So I'll have to earn a couple more from the magic array in Endless Corridor. You can also access that magic array from the Mercenaries button in the lower right here. That's also another way to get to it. Now, my magic array is a level 134 after progressing through the 5th world of Endless Corridor. Now, to give you an idea of how important this magic array is to boosting your party's stats, I'm going to show you what an advanced magic array can look like. Now, this is a magic array level 824 from someone either on the Chinese or one of the SEA servers. So pretty advanced magic array to have level 824. And if you look, their hit points, they're gaining 222,000 hit points just from their magic array. 222,000. Now if you look at my magic array, level 134, instead of getting 222,000, I'm only getting 36,000 hit points as opposed to 222. So you can see the magnitudes of how greatly your team's stats can improve through the magic array of Endless Corridor. Now obviously that person who advanced that far, they've probably been playing at least 6 months more than we have over here on Global. So they've had longer to progress and they have more levels in Endless Corridor, but that just shows how greatly it can improve the stats on your team. And as your team increases in those stats, which are permanent, it'll help you in other areas, such as like Elemental Tower, for example. So I know when I first started playing Elemental Tower, I would get to level like 10 or 12, and then enemies would start one-shotting me. But now that I've been playing in Endless Corridor for a while, that magic array is building up, and now I can get to like level 14, level 15, and I'm not as worried about being one-shotted by the enemies in Elemental Tower. So it helps you, as you progress in Endless Corridor, it helps you in other areas of the game. Like in PvP, you'll be stronger as well. Like if you've ever run into a whale in this game, in say Arcane Trial or World Arena, they've probably have a very high magic array, and that's why it's difficult to beat them, because their stats are so inflated. So that's why this is really important. Now, as you play through each level, it takes one key to progress through one level. You get 10 keys per day for free. If you look in the upper right here, you can get keys. How should I explain this? Where do you get it? I've never actually bought a key, but here there's a key pack where you can buy, I believe it's 10 keys for $1. So if you go to the daily shop, if you're really kicking butt or you feel like you're behind on your Endless Corridor, you can spend $1 instead of waiting a day, and then you can access 10 more levels. So that's another way you can progress. But for me, I've only done the free keys. I've never paid to progress in Endless Corridor, and I feel like I'm doing pretty well. But the thing about Endless Corridor is you don't just use one team to pass all the levels. It doesn't work that way, because there's so many different problems and team compositions that you're going to come up against. You're going to need multiple teams with different characters, and you're going to need to use different strategies to pass certain levels. So what this video is going to go over is what characters should you be building for Endless Corridor, what kind of gear should they be equipped with, and I'll lightly touch on the strategies, but I'm going to do a separate video about strategies for specific fights in Endless Corridor. But this video is going to be like a shopping list of things that you should be working on if you're starting to get into Endless Corridor. Like, who do you need and what should they be wearing? So let's go over who you need first of all. I think it's very important that you have a quick burst DPS character. So someone who can deal a lot of damage in a very short amount of time, because very early on in Endless Corridor, you're going to face an enemy like Mary, who, if she is able to cast her AoE, it's going to destroy the party. That's the other thing, is the enemies in Endless Corridor often are so powerful that if they get a clean shot on your group, then they tend to one-shot you. And if they cast an AoE, a lot of times your party is going to get wiped, or you'll lose at least 2 members of the party, at which point it's basically over. So there's going to be a lot of high priority targets that you have to remove quickly. And that's why you need a character like Lucifer, who everybody should get because she was the free SSR. I've also heard that if you don't have or you don't want to use Lucifer, Mulan is also supposed to be a good burst DPS character. I haven't built her, but she should also be very good in Endless Corridor. Either way, you're going to need someone who can deal a lot of damage very quickly. And unfortunately, I don't think that Lilith is that type of character. She hits very hard, but the problem with Lilith is she requires setup. She needs people to cast Charm before she can do her ultimate, and a lot of times when you're facing Mary, you don't have time for Lilith to apply a stack of Charm and then get another turn and then do her ultimate, because by then you're already dead. So I really recommend getting Lucifer or Mulan built. Another possible character is maybe Gaia. At like 6 stars or at limit break will do a ton of damage, but her ultimate kind of moves around randomly. So I don't know if she's a good character for what I'm talking about. If you're trying to remove a specific enemy, like, you may have to keep doing it over and over until the RNG falls in your favor and she happens to hit the right target multiple times. Plus you need like a 5 or 6 star Gaia, which is not easy to do. So I don't know if that's a viable option for the role that I'm talking about. Now, in addition to having a quick burst DPS, you are also going to want to have Hades, who's one of the best characters in Endless Corridor. And the reason why is his ultimate lets you execute enemies when they get to 50% hit points or less. So he works in combination with that burst DPS. So for example, if you have to remove Mary on the first turn before she can cast her AoE, one way you can do it is have like Lucifer poke her a bunch of times, maybe have Artemis do an ultimate or do a stun, and then Artemis will start shooting her random arrows into your target because they're low on hit points. And your goal is to get that target to less than 50% hit points, either on the first turn or the second turn. If you do it on the second turn, you have to at least stun the target on the first turn. And then by the time you get another round of attacks in, they should be below 50% health, and then Hades can do his ultimate. It's important that you upgrade the accuracy of Hades so that he doesn't miss, because I'm pretty sure he can miss with his ultimate and then you're screwed. So make sure you have an accurate Hades and use his ultimate to finish off characters within the first 2 turns. That's really important. Now, you're also going to want to have a tank. My recommendation for tanks are going to be either Joan, who's great because she has a revive. She also has damage reduction. And another must-have tank. I don't know if Joan is must-have. Valkyrie is a must-have tank in Endless Corridor. You're going to need her for fighting the single boss levels because her shield is going to be invaluable at keeping her alive. She also has taunt, so in a way Valkyrie has advantages over Joan, but she doesn't have the ability to revive people that die. So Valkyrie is a must-have. Joan is like a very nice-to-have character. Now Valkyrie, as I mentioned, is going to be used when you're fighting a single boss, but she's going to be used in combination with a couple other characters. Those characters are going to be Lancelot, who's a must-have in Endless Corridor, and Poseidon. So the general strategy is when you face a single boss, Lancelot is always going to taunt the boss, and then Valkyrie is always going to intercept the attack from the boss. And Valkyrie is going to be invincible because she's going to have either a shield from Poseidon or she's going to have the shield that she puts on herself. Both of those moves have a 1-turn cooldown, so that's why you alternate between Poseidon's shield and Valkyrie's shield. And then you have Lancelot always taunting the boss every single turn. So you need all 3 of those characters whenever you fight a single boss level. There's a couple single bosses where that strategy doesn't apply, but in general, it's a very good one. You're going to want to have those 3 characters. If you don't have Valkyrie for some reason, you can do that game mode on Sunday. I forget what it's called. Is it United Battle or something? It's the one where you make your team and then you earn shards for a character. You can slowly earn your shards for Valkyrie by playing on Sunday and continually using teams with Valkyrie, and hopefully you can get her that way. Now, other characters that are really important to have in Endless Corridor, I did a separate video on them, are the twins. You're going to want them at least at 3 stars, and eventually you're going to want them at 5 stars and 6 stars. 5 stars, they're very helpful in Endless Corridor for certain levels where you want to take out someone like Artemis within the first 2 turns. The twins, you should check out my other video on them. They can solo levels in Endless Corridor without any other teammates because their gimmick is they can keep themselves invisible perpetually, and then they can't be targeted by most enemies, and then you poison with the supports, and that poison will constantly wear down the enemies, and then the twins can't be touched, usually, at least for the levels I'm on. And that's one strategy that can get you through some levels of Endless Corridor. It's not going to work for all the levels, but it's a useful tool to have in some levels. Now, another character that you need to be building up for Endless Corridor is Cleopatra, because her talent at 5 stars is she gets the ability Curse of Healing, where when she does an attack, that target, if they are healed, they'll take damage instead of healing. And there's going to be levels in Endless Corridor where you're fighting a healer like Athena, Isabella, Chang'e. There's like elementals that heal, and you don't want to worry about that healing outpacing your damage. So instead, just use Cleopatra to attack an enemy, and then that healing will do damage instead of healing, and you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about any healers once you have 5-star Cleopatra in your team. And eventually, you're going to want Cleo to be 6 stars, so we can use the hero assist, and then you don't even need to bring Cleo in the party. You'll just have her assist a member of your party. We're hoping to get hero assist hopefully as early as next week. Now, when I say you should have a tank, it's not just enough to have a tank like Joan or Valkyrie. You also want to be building up their gems, and you want to be working on their physical evasion and potentially their magic evasion. Physical evasion is the most important. And if you look at my Joan, she has 121% physical evasion. I want to get that higher. I want to get it closer to like 150. But all of the gems that she has have physical evasion on them, and I'm trying to make them even better. Her gear, I would like to throw some evasive on here, but I don't have that prefix right now. But ideally, I think you do want to have your tank at close to 150% physical evasion, and magic evasion as high as you can get. I'm actually working on a set of magic evasion gear for levels where there's a lot of casters, because they can do a lot of damage to my Joan, because she's great at dodging physical attacks, but the magic attacks, not so much, and they do a lot of damage to her. So if there's a level with a lot of casters, I want to be able to swap in a set of magic evasion gear. Ideally, endgame, I think you would have one set of gear that has both high physical and magic evasion. But for your tank in Endless Corridor, because the guys hit so hard, you do want to have a tank who is constantly dodging and not taking those attacks. Because if you take, for example, 6 or 7 attacks in a row, even if they're basic attacks, like not special moves, your tank is probably going to die. So you need to be able to dodge at least half of the attacks that are coming your way, if not more. So that's very important that your tank have a full set of physical evasion gear that you're hopefully working on farming. And if you look at Joan, who's my main tank in Endless Corridor, like this, she doesn't really have a set of gems that are ideal. You know, like ideally I'd like a set of, say, Libra and probably Ares. Libra, I believe, gives hit points, and Ares is damage reduction. So like that would be an ideal set, but I just have to use whatever gems I have that have the highest physical evasion. So make sure you're farming that. Now, in terms of gear, there's a couple items you want to be looking for. For your casters, Tears of the Nile is a must-have item in Endless Corridor. It's a trinket that mages and priests can use, and what it does, at level 70, it gives you a 35% chance to silence the enemy, and you want to use this on your AoE casters. So for example, I've got Freya, who's one of the fastest members of my party. I also have Chang'e, who's also the second fastest member of my party, and what they'll do is they will both cast their AoE at the start of combat, and between them, you know, like one has 35% chance, the next has another 35% chance, and I'm trying to silence enemies because a lot of the enemies are so tough that if you let them cast their regular moves or their AoEs, you're dead. So you have to silence them so that they're only doing their basic attack on you. And that's one of the main strategies in Endless Corridor. If you only have one Tears of the Nile, you may have to keep resetting the level. It doesn't cost anything. There's no stamina involved. It just takes time to keep resetting until you happen to get a good silence on the key target you need. But there's going to be levels where you need to silence like maybe 5, 6, 7 enemies at a time. So the more Tears of the Nile you have, the better off you'll be. I highly recommend having at least 2, and I run 3. And I think 3 is a great magic number. If you can get 3 and use 3 casters, I think you'll do very well in Endless Corridor. Now there's also a new weapon that just came out this week. It's called Broken Dawn, and it's a weapon that I think is very useful for Endless Corridor. I mentioned before that the twins can stay in stealth permanently, and then you have your supports cast Ignite or Poison on all the enemies, and then the Poison or Ignite will burn them down slowly. Broken Dawn deals additional damage to enemies that have Ignite or Poison on them, so it would be great to have 1 copy of Broken Dawn that you can put on your twins or whoever. Maybe your tank can use it as well. And that character will do additional damage to enemies that are poisoned. And there's going to be a lot of Poison and Ignite flying around in Endless Corridor. So this is a great weapon to have. You only need 1 copy of it. You don't need 3 like Tears of the Nile. But Broken Dawn is a great weapon to have. I do not have one yet. I'm trying to get one, but I've been able to progress very far without Broken Dawn, so it's not a must-have, it's a nice-to-have. So that's basically my shopping list. Make sure you get a copy of either Lucifer or Mulan. Make sure you get Valkyrie, Poseidon, Lancelot. You're going to need Hades. It would be really nice to have a 5-star Cleo, at least a 3-star Twins. You want to have a set of physical evasion gems as well as magic evasion, possibly. And you're going to want multiple copies of Tears of the Nile, and you're going to want Broken Dawn. So that's the shopping list. Good luck. Let me know how you're doing in Endless Corridor, and I will see you later.